is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Ask Huda, where I'll try my level best to answer your questions as they come. As you know, it is less than 2 weeks for Ramadan, and the scholars, the righteous predecessors, used to say that Rajab is the month of seeding, and Sha'ban is the month of irrigation, and Ramadan is the month of reaping and collecting the fruit. That is why those who are not prepared, neither mentally or physically, usually they get a shock when Ramadan starts, because they're not used to fasting, they're not used to night prayers, they're not used to giving charity, and they're not used to reciting a lot of Quran. However, those who've been training, who've been conditioning themselves, and I pray to Allah that He makes me and you among them, when they encounter Ramadan, they feel at home. They don't feel anything has changed, because usually they fast Mondays and Thursdays every week. And some of them even fast the white days, 13th, 14th, and 15th of every month. Usually they have a portion of the night to offer night prayers. And Alhamdulillah, they maintain the minimum of reciting a portion of the Quran, which is 1 juz', because they have this habit of at least finishing the Quran once a month. So when Ramadan comes, they don't feel so alienated. They don't feel that they are out of quarters. They feel right at home. And that is why in these coming 2 weeks, it's not late yet. Try your level best to fast, to offer night prayer, to increase the portion of your Quran, so that if you can finish the Quran once every 3 days, that is excellent. If not, once every week. If not, once every 10 days, so that when Ramadan hits the ground, it hits it running. It also important to indicate and to point out an issue that a lot of the Muslims ask about, though the time is already gone, but it's important that we remind you of it, and that is Laylatul Nisf min Sha'ban, or the night of Shabarat, I think they call it in the sub-Indian continent. And a lot of the Muslims put different sorts of worship on this night, and they narrate hadiths that might be fabricated, might be weak, and they put a lot of emphasis on it, claiming, stating that it is a night of so many virtues, and offering these good deeds is something that the Prophet ﷺ recommended. First of all, scholars have differed whether this night is a blessed night or not. The decrees, the things that people will do, this is not to be done on the night of the middle of Sha'ban. This is to be done on the night of decree, the night of Laylatul Qadr. So when you come to the hadiths about this night, whether it's a blessed night or not, the majority of these hadiths are not authentic. They're fabricated, or they're very weak. And this is what the old schools of scholars of hadith graded these hadiths. Now, Sheikh Al-Albani, one of the contemporaries, may Allah have mercy on his soul, he stated that there is a hadith which is authentic or at least acceptable, where Allah Azza wa Jal in the Prophet ﷺ says that Allah on the night of the middle of Sha'ban looks at the people of the earth and he forgives their sins, with the exception of two: a mushrik, a person who associates others with Allah, and of course under him falls all disbelievers. Okay, we have Abdullah from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have three quick questions.
Okay.
The first one is regarding the month of Ramadan,
Okay.
and that is the Salat al-Tarawih. After Salat al-Tarawih, some of us maybe would like to go and perform our witr at home. And there's a hadith that says performing the witr is the praying with the Imam is much better than performing Salat alone. So I want to ask which one of the two is better. And the second is regarding.
Okay, we've lost Abdullah. I believe that we have also Brother Malik from the Emirates.
Hello.
Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I'm Malik from Emirates.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I have to ask about zakat.
Okay.
Two questions. We have got this plot of land in our home country, and we have this land for about 3 years now.
Okay.
We purchased the land with the intention of, inshallah, when we get some more rate, we will sell the land.
Okay.
But from last 3 years, we have not sold it. So I just wanted to know whether we have to pay the zakat on the land or we don't have.
Is the land on display?
Question.
Is the land on display to be sold? Meaning that if you've given it to offices of real estate, saying that if you get this much, I'm selling.
We have taken it in the partnership.
Okay.
We have taken the land in the partnership, and we are telling this of the agents in India, okay, this is our offer, and if you get this rate, we will be selling the land. But somehow we are not get the right offer to sell the land. That's why we are not able to sell it.
Your second question.
Second question, we have also the land from the Virasa.
Okay.
And from my father, Allah yarham, after he passed away, we got the land in Virasa, and we have not yet decided on the land because it belongs to me, my brother, and my mom also. So we have different thoughts on that land. Maybe we'll sell it, maybe we sell and buy at the house to stay for us, or we will do something for rental purposes. So still we are not able to decide on that. So what is the situation on that land?
Okay.
Shall we have to pay zakat or not? That second thing about the gold,
This is the
our
third
family,
thing.
we are having some gold, and it's in the form of, third question, yes, third question,
Okay.
Sheikh. The third question, out of this gold, we have, alhamdulillah, some quantity. So it's not all of them being used by our family, my kids and my wife. Some of them we are using it, and some of them it is there, and it's like in the form of ornament, like bangles or earrings or like this.
Who owns it?
So we are entitled for zakah, and we don't have the intention to sell it,
Who's the owner of it?
Occasionally-
Who's the owner of it? Who is the owner of it, Malik? Who owns the gold?
Actually, I have purchased it. Some of them is purchased by myself to my wife as a gift, and to my daughters as a gift.
Okay.
And some of them, it was given in the time of the wedding, like maher.
Okay.
Some of them was given in the time of wedding, but we don't have, inshallah, the intention of selling the gold, sir.
I will answer your questions, inshallah.
Thank you, sir.
Hayyak Allah. Ahlan wa sahlan. Brother Abdullah from Nigeria, was asking about the usual question, and that is, people pray with the imam, and the imam offer witr in the Taraweeh, but they would like to go back to their homes and offer more night prayer on their own. So what to do? Because they have conflicting hadiths, so they think. One hadith says that there are no two witrs in the same night, and this is authentic. And another hadith says that make the last of your night prayer witr, which means that if I'm going to pray in the beginning and then I'm going to pray at the end of the night, I should only pray one witr. Well, the answer is very easy. The Prophet ﷺ told us in an authentic hadith that he who prays Taraweeh with his imam until the prayer is over, Allah would record for him, Allah would reward him as if he prayed the whole night from sunset until the break of dawn. So usually your imam prays for an hour and a half maximum. If you pray with him and offer witr, then you have been rewarded as if you prayed the whole night. But what about if I would like to go and pray more in my home? You have two options. The first option is, if the imam is praying 2 rak'ah plus 1, you pray with him, and when he prays the last rak'ah, which is an individual witr rak'ah, when he offers salam, you stand up and pray a second rak'ah, and by this you have prayed even numbers. So when you go home, you pray as many as you wish, and then conclude that with 1 rak'ah as indicated by the Prophet ﷺ. But if you're not sure that you're going to pray night prayer, you might as well pray with the imam until he's over from his Taraweeh, and you pray witr with him as well. And if you go home, you may pray as many rak'ahs as you wish, but do not repeat the witr. Khalas, it's done. So what to do with the hadith where the Prophet instructed us to make the last prayer of the night prayer as witr? Well, this is, the scholars say, this is not mandatory, this is not obligatory, this is highly recommended. Well, how do you say this? We know from the usul al-fiqh, from fundamentals of fiqh, that whenever an instruction comes from the Prophet ﷺ, whether it comes from Allah Azza wa Jalla, the Almighty, in the Quran, or in the Sunnah from the Prophet ﷺ, an order means it's an obligation, unless another evidence comes to reduce this obligation into recommendation. Likewise, when Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, or the Prophet ﷺ says in his hadith that you should not do something, this is a negation. So in usul al-fiqh, when Allah or the Prophet ﷺ say that you shouldn't do this, don't do this, this means that it is forbidden, unless there's another evidence that reduces it to not recommended. So the Prophet says, make the last prayer of the night prayer as witr. What to do about this? Well, it's very easy. In the authentic sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ used to pray 2 rak'ahs after the witr, and sometimes he used to pray them sitting down. So the scholars say, from this hadith we know and learn that the instruction of having the witr, the last thing to be prayed at night, is a recommended thing, but it is not mandatory, because the Prophet himself ﷺ prayed 2 rak'ahs after witr. Brother Malik from the Emirates has 2 questions. The first question is regarding the zakat of a plot of land they bought 3 years ago, and they've been trying, or actually they've been trying to sell it for the past 3 years, but would not get an appropriate price for it. So do they have to pay zakat? The answer is yes, because it is for sale, and anything that is exposed for sale has to be paid zakat for it every year. And what to pay? You have to estimate. You have to estimate the price of it today, and give 2.5%. Whether it's lower than the purchase cost or much higher, it doesn't matter. It matters what's the price of today, and you have to give 2.5% for that. But if you did not want to sell it, and you're just keeping it for future use, there is no zakat on that. This plot, you have to pay zakat. We have Harun from the Emirates. Brother Harun.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, akhi. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. I love you for the sake of Allah.
Jazakallah khair. May Allah Azza wa Jal gather you and me and all the viewers in paradise where Allah gathers those who are in love with each other for His sake.
Ameen, ameen. Okay, Sheikh, I have one question.
Okay.
Now, it's regarding the permissibility of being in the real estate business and providing accommodation either for sale or for rental to the not yet Muslims in the Arabian Peninsula.
Okay.
I've come across two hadiths, I believe, from Abu Dawood with reference to the Arabian Peninsula and the not yet Muslims settling in these lands. So basically the question is, would it be permissible to be in this business where you would be aiding them, helping them settle in either purchase or rentals?
Okay. I will answer this question, inshallah.
Okay. Jazakallah khair.
Wazak, ya akhi. Brother Muhammad from Saudi Arabia. Brother Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. What's your question, akhi?
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My name is Muhammad Wasif. I am calling from Jubail.
Oh, from Dubai. Okay.
No, from Jubail. Al-Jubail.
Al-Jubail. Al-Jubail. Yes. What can I do for you, akhi Muhammad?
Yeah, I have a question. One of my aunties is living in Mecca, and every time when she go for vacation to India, she believes or she has been told that whenever she returns, she has to enter Mecca in Ihram and perform Umrah. Is it valid or correct?
Okay. Any more questions?
No, this is the one.
Okay, I will answer the questions, inshallah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, akhi. Brother Malik, second question. He says that they've inherited a plot of land from his father, and they've not decided yet whether to sell it, whether to build on it, whether to use it for agriculture. As long as it's not for sale, as long as it's not being displayed for sale, then there is no zakat for it. I have this pen, and this is not for sale. Do I have zakat for it? No. I have my clothes on. Is it zakatable, if this is an English word? The answer is no. But if someone comes to me and says, listen, Sheikh, I'll give you €1,000 for your pen, would I sell it? Definitely yes. So would I pay zakat for it? Definitely not, because I'm not displaying it for sale. It's different than when I buy cars from Germany, like 4 or 5 cars, and I bring them over and I put them in front of my house or in a showroom, and I want this price tag for each one of them. This is displayed for zakat. So if a whole year passes, or if I sell it and I collect the money with the profit and a whole year passes, I have to pay zakat for that. His third question was regarding the gold that they use. Not him, of course, because gold is haram for men. Men are not allowed to wear gold. They're not allowed to keep golden pens or watches or whatever they use. Gold is haram for men to use. But his daughters, his wife, they have gold. And he said that the family has, and this is wrong. Each individual in the family has his own possession. You cannot say that, wallahi, my family has half a kilo of gold because I have like daughters and wives and aunties living with me, so we collect the whole gold and give zakat. No, this is not correct. Your wife has her own possession. So if you gave her as a gift, if you gave her as a mahar, if her parents gave her as a wedding gift, she, at the end of the year, has to calculate how much money she has. In the sense that if she has over or 85 grams or over, then she has to pay zakat every year after the first year. So by saying 85 grams of gold, we are talking about pure gold, 24 karat gold. So if it's 16 karat or 18 karat, she has to go to the jeweler shop, and the goldsmith would tell her that this 100 grams of 16 karat is equivalent to maybe 70, maybe 80 grams of pure gold. And then this means that there is no zakat. So we have to calculate your wife's gold individually. If it's 85 grams of pure gold or more, she has to pay 2.5%. Then we go to each one of your daughters. So this one, Fatima, for example, has 17 grams of gold, there's no zakat. Aisha has 80 grams of gold, there is no zakat. And your wife may be having 80 grams of gold, there is no zakat. It is wrong to collect all of this and say that we have to give zakat 2.5%. Not only that, the issue of wearing the gold or intending to sell it does not change the verdict. The most authentic opinion of scholars is that if a person has gold in his possession, whether she is wearing it or she is lending it or she is saving it, she has to pay 2.5% every single year for it. Brother Harun from the Emirates, he is referring to the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ tells us that okay, we have Brother Ahmed from Nigeria. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I have one question, Sheikh.
Okay.
Concerning prayer. What is the is it allowed to pray behind an imam that you believe that he believes on some innovations and he believes that something has been revealed to another person, not the Prophet?
He believes that revelation can be after the Prophet?
Not the Prophet, another person, another can be revealed to another person, not the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay, I will answer the question inshallah. Brother Abdullah from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Good evening.
Wa alaikum assalam. Good evening to you. Please mute your TV.
Yes, I did that.
Okay.
I have three questions. The first one is regarding whether it's in Ramadan it is better to do your witr at home or to follow the Imam and do it earlier. That's the first question. If it is better to do your witr at home after the Tarawih or to do it along with the Imam in the mosque.
I answered this in the very beginning. You did not hear the answer? I answered it in the very beginning.
Actually, the network cut off, so I could not listen and I could not even hear anything.
Okay.
The second one is regarding when you are praying behind the Imam and the Imam makes a mistake in the recitation, is it incumbent upon you to correct him, or can you just allow him to recite along, or is it a must for you to correct him? That's the second question.
Okay.
The third one is regarding the rawatib for Zuhur. If, for example, you are not able to make early to the mosque and pray the 4 rakats before Zuhur, can you, after maybe the Zuhur prayer, pray all the 6 rakats all together at the same time? Can you do that?
Okay.
That's my question.
Inshallah. I will answer you, inshallah. Harun from the Emirates. We have Fatima from Saudi Arabia.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, I have 3 questions.
Okay.
And number 1 is regarding Ramadan. I've heard, I'm not sure if this is a hadith, that the first ashra is of mercy and the second ashra is forgiveness and so on. So I just want to know, is this a hadith?
Okay.
And my second question is regarding Umrah. A family who's visiting from Pakistan, they've come for Umrah, and they were wondering that if they're staying in Makkah for 3 days, so can the lady do multiple Umrahs by just going to Masjid Aisha and coming back?
Okay.
And is Masjid Aisha a miqat?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Third question?
Yeah, third question. My third question is regarding my mother-in-law. Actually, she's paralyzed and we have to do everything for her. She's very dependent. So while bathing her and changing her diapers, we get to see her aura. So is that allowed for us?
Okay.
For the ladies of the house, yani.
Okay.
That's all, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair.
Ajzaki. Brother Shariq or Sharq from Saudi Arabia. Brother Sharq or Shariq.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Salamatullah.
The Sheikh, this is Shariq from Riyadh. How are you, Sheikh?
Hayyak Allah akhi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I have one confusion in this Salatul Lail we read in the night time.
Okay.
I heard that you have to pray 8 rakah Naflul Lail, then 2 rakah Salatul Shaf, and then 1 rakah Witr.
Okay.
This is how our Prophet used to pray.
Okay.
Now in this Naflul Lail, which consists of 8 rakah, 2 by 2, 2 by 2 like this one, in the second rakah, we have to say Subhanallah 3 times after the Surah Fatiha and the Surah like this one.
Who said this? Yes, who said this?
This one I read on the website basically. In the first rakah, you have to read Surah Fatiha and then you have to read Qul Huwallahu Ahad. Okay? In the second rakah, you have to read Surah Fatiha and then Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun. And after Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun, you have to say 3 times Subhanallah before going to Ruku.
Okay. I will answer inshallah this question.
Okay, and one more question I have. Hello?
Yes. I'm listening, akhi.
Yeah, whenever we listen the name of our Prophet, we have to say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
It's true.
Okay, is this like when we are listening to Quran from MP3 also, like every time the name of Prophet is coming, when we are in the office, we are listening this Quran Samaya, then we have to say every time this word Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam?
Okay, I will answer your question inshallah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Kamil from Saudi Arabia, and this is the last question inshallah until we answer the questions previously. Kamil? Okay, Kamil is gone. So no more questions inshallah until we finish this, what we have. Brother Harun was talking about the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that the peninsula of the Arabian Peninsula must not include 2 religions. And in another hadith, the Prophet said ﷺ ordered us to expel the Jews and the Christians and all that who are not Muslims in the Arabian Peninsula. These hadiths are authentic. You cannot talk about whether they are acceptable or not, but you can understand them in different contexts and you can look at them from different angles. And the most authentic opinion is that when you are able, you should expel them. If there is no need for them, you should expel them. And it's a long disputed issue among scholars, and why didn't the Prophet ﷺ expel the people of Khaybar, for example, the Jews from it? And the explanation of Jaziratul Arab, the Arabian Peninsula, is it meant the whole Arabian Peninsula, which includes Qatar, Emirates, Bahrain, Oman, and Saudi Arabia, or does it refer only to Hijaz? So basically speaking, without going into a lot of details, for you as a Muslim, if you're able to not allow them in, this is the best scenario ever. But due to the fact that matters are not in your hands, if you're a CEO of a company, yes, you should only select Muslims. And why is this considered to be discrimination? Not at all. Go to the Vatican. Do you see any mosques in the Vatican? No. Likewise, we're not allowed to have any churches or synagogues in the Arabian Peninsula because these lands are holy lands. So, for you, as you live in the Emirates, as I believe, those responsible for allowing the non-Muslims in, it is between them and Allah Azza wa Jal. For you as a landowner, or for a person who works in real estate, renting, selling, etc., this is permissible for you to do because this goes with the laws of the country, and you're not the one responsible for bringing them in, because if you cascade this, then you would say that I'm not allowed to sell them food, I'm not allowed to take them in my cabin. No one says this. You don't know whether their presence there is legitimate or not, because they might be doctors, they might be engineers, they might be workers that this country needs it. Therefore, I see that there is no harm in you working in a real estate office to work with them. Muhammad from Saudi Arabia, he's saying that his aunt and she lives in Mecca, and whenever she travels back home and she comes back, she sees that it's an obligation for her to make a umrah. Whoever is in Mecca, if he goes out and he comes back, she believes that this is an obligation. The answer is, this is not correct. She does not have to make a umrah. If she wants to, alhamdulillah, Allah will reward her, but it is not an obligation, and it is wrong to think that it is mandatory for her to perform umrah. Ahmed from Nigeria, he's asking, what's the ruling on praying behind a person of innovation? Innovation are divided into two types. Innovations that do not nullify your Islam, such as believing in the Mawlid, celebrating the middle of Sha'ban, celebrating the night of Ascension, Isra wal Mi'raj on the 27th of Rajab, saying dua and supplication in congregation after the Salah. A number of these are innovations that do not nullify your Islam, because they have nothing to do with the Aqidah in terms of nullifying it. But there are innovations that nullify your Islam. So if someone prays to the dead, like in Timbuktu, for example, Mali, it is astonishing how the International Criminal Court, the United Nations, the UNESCO are condemning the demolition of tombs. They believe that 333 saints protect Timbuktu. And in Islam, this is major shirk, this is kufr, this is disbelief, this nullifies your Islam. If you believe that a human being, let alone a dead person in a grave, can protect you from harm's way, and they condemned this, they were outraged by demolishing few stones, while in Burma, the Rohingyas, and in Arakan, in Syria, all the atrocities, all the killings, it's okay. It's an issue of dispute among scholars. But when it comes to stones, to things that go against our religion, against our tawheed, subhanallah, they all collaborate to defend these false shrines that go against Islam. So if a person like this is a person who prays and calls the dead, or if he believes that Jibreel can descend and give revelation to other after the Prophet ﷺ, he's a kafir. This man is a kafir. He's not a Muslim anymore. So you definitely cannot pray behind him. But if he does not nullify his Islam with his innovation, you may pray behind him, but it is not recommended. Abdullah from Nigeria is asking about witr. Which is best, to pray it with the imam or to pray it at home? As I've stated in my answer before, if your imam prays the witr 2 rak'ahs and then offers salam and then prays one isolated rak'ah, in this case, I recommend for you, when he offers salam, you stand up and pray a second rak'ah and then sit for tashahhud and conclude your prayer. So with this, you've prayed even numbers. You can go home and pray witr in your home. He's asking, when the imam makes a mistake. I'm praying behind my imam and the imam is reciting Quran and he makes a mistake in his recitation. He says a wrong word. So is it mandatory for him to correct him? The answer is yes. If you know and you're sure, someone has to correct him. So if all of you do not correct him, then you have not preserved the Quran. And Allah Azza wa Jal has pledged to preserve the Quran. This is a form of preserving the Quran. When you see someone reciting the ayah wrongly, you have to correct him. Whether he's a scholar, an imam, a sheikh, your father, your whatever, you have to definitely correct him. He's asking about, usually people get to the masjid late. So they miss the 4 rak'ahs of sunnah before dhuhr. We know that you pray 2 rak'ahs, then you pray the 4 rak'ah of dhuhr, mandatory prayer, and then you pray 2 rak'ahs. There are 6 voluntary rak'ahs for dhuhr. So he's saying that, is it permissible for me to make them up after the salah? And the most authentic opinion is, if you do not have a legitimate reason, you may not make it up, the 4 rak'ahs. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal has placed its position before dhuhr. So by praying it after dhuhr, you have prayed it not in its time. So if you have a legitimate reason, if you were in a hospital, if you had an emergency, if you forgot completely, I believe, inshallah, if you pray it after the dhuhr, that this would be permissible. But if you don't, you're just at work and you're lazy, and every time you say inshallah a little bit now, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and you missed it, no, in this case you should not pray it, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. Fatima from Saudi Arabia, she is asking about the authenticity of the hadith. There has come a month of Allah Azza wa Jalla where the first third of it is mercy, the second third of it is forgiveness, and the third of part of it is setting out free from hell. And the hadith is not authentic. She's also asking about relatives coming from their native country, and she's asking the permissibility of making multiple umrahs when they're in Mecca. It is essential to know anyone who's coming from abroad, from outside the circles of the mawaqit, when they come with intention of umrah, they must perform or they must assume their state of ihram from the miqat. If they pass it, they have to go back. If they don't go back and make their ihram from within or after passing the miqat, they have to slaughter a sheep as a compensation, as an expiation. Now, I'm assuming that your relative did already come and made ihram from the miqat, and now she or he is staying in Mecca. They want to make another umrah. In this case, they have to go to Masjid Aisha or to anywhere outside the borders of the haram area. Why is that? In Arabic, umrah means to visit. So if you are actually in the haram area, how can you visit yourself? If I'm in my home, how can I be a guest and visit myself? I have to go out of my home and then come as a visitor. And this is exactly the status of the people staying in Mecca. When they want to perform umrah, they must go outside of the area of haram. Whether they go to At-Tan'im, whether they go to Ash-Shimasi, whether they go to Ash-Shara'i', all of these areas are outside the borders of haram. And they may make their ihram from there. What is the ruling on doing multiple umrah? It is not in accordance to the sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ, in all of his travels, though he stayed sometimes 19 days in Mecca, he only performed one umrah. All the companions never performed more than one umrah per travel, with the exception of Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, because when she came performing Hajj with the Prophet ﷺ, she offered qiran, and she had her menses, so she did not have the opportunity to make it before that, and that is why the Prophet allowed her. Now, it is left for me to say that if your relative is not going to come to Saudi Arabia, give me 2 minutes. If your relative is not going to go back again to Saudi Arabia, in this case, okay, he may do this because this is a one shot in a lifetime. Her third question, Fatima, she says that her mother-in-law is very old and she's handicapped, and they clean her, they change for her, they take care of her. I pray to Allah Azza wa Jalla that Allah rewards you, Fatima, and those who are taking care of this old woman abundantly. I pray to Allah Azza wa Jalla that He rewards you without any account, because this is one of the greatest forms of worship to Allah Azza wa Jalla, the greatest deeds that you do. And someday we will be in her shoes, and may Allah Azza wa Jalla protect us from being in that situation. But by doing what you're doing, Allah Azza wa Jalla is rewarding you, providing that your intention is solely for Allah Azza wa Jalla and you do not complain about it. So she's asking about the ruling on while cleaning her, changing her diapers, and when she answers the call of nature, she cannot go to the bathroom. And sometimes while cleaning her, she may look at her private parts. So is this permissible? The answer is no. If you're able to clean her without looking, this is a must. If it's not possible, then you may look with extreme caution, that you only look for and when is needed, and don't take your time doing it. Shariq from Saudi Arabia, he's asking about night prayer, 8 plus 2 plus 1, and he's saying that he heard somewhere, he saw a website that between the Fatiha and Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun, you say Subhanallah 3 times. This is all innovation, and it is not correct. You only recite the Fatiha, you only recite the surah, and that is it. There is no tasbih, none whatsoever. Kamil, this is the last question. Well, actually, we lost Kamil. Shariq had a second question, which was as-salat ala nabi. When we hear the name of the Prophet ﷺ, when Allah says Muhammadur Rasulullah in the Quran, do we say Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammad or not? It's an issue of dispute. If you're in prayer, do not. You have to listen. And if you're outside prayer, if you're listening to it from the radio, from the MP3, or in an office, I believe that inshallah there is nothing wrong in offering the salutation on the Prophet ﷺ. We may take questions if there are people on the line. Okay. Sister Ruqayya from Qatar.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu wa barakatuh.
Yes, I would like to ask about hayd during the month of Ramadan.
Okay.
I'm confused because I've heard some scholars say that you cannot recite the Quran during the month of Ramadan if you're in hayd.
Okay.
I would like to know if can I read the Quran from the mobile device or anyway, because I find myself pulled back when I have my haid, especially for some women whose haid is prolonged up to 15 days or so.
Any more questions?
And then I would like to know, yes, what kind of ibadah is permissible for a woman in haid during Ramadan?
Okay.
Thank you. Jazakallah.
Wa jazaki. Ayyakumullah. Okay. Sister Ruqayya's questions are: 1, how can she recite the Quran during the month of Ramadan? Because she heard someone saying that a woman should not recite Quran at all when she is in her menses. And this is not correct. You can recite the Quran even if you are in your menses, but you should not hold the Quran physically. So if you can recite it from a book of tafsir, because the verses of the Quran are far less than the commentary surrounding it. You can read it from your mobile phone, you can read it from your PDA, you can read it from their laptop. All of this is permissible, inshallah. So do not stop reading the Quran. As for the forms of worship during menses, there are so many. The sky is the limit. You're not allowed to recite, you're not allowed to pray, you're not allowed to fast, you're not allowed to enter the masjid for tawaf, the haram that is. Other than that, you can do whatever you wish. You can conduct circles of knowledge for your children. Read for them from Riyadh al-Salihin, read for them different fatawas of the scholars regarding certain topics that benefits them and that suits them. You can also give charity. It's a month of good deeds. The Prophet ﷺ, as Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, said that the Prophet ﷺ used to be more generous than the blowing wind. And he was most generous in the month of Ramadan when Jibreel used to revise the Quran with him. So during the month of Ramadan, give as much as you can in charity. As a woman, maybe you say, I don't have money except what my husband gives me. And this is very little, and sometimes he doesn't give me at all. You can cook. So ask your husband for permission. All the masjids in Qatar, I believe, Saudi Arabia, or in the Gulf areas, worldwide, they break their fast in the masjid. A lot of the Muslims go and break their fast in the masjid, especially the poor ones. Those who did not receive their salaries for months without end. So cook some sambusak, cook some rice with some chicken, and send it to the masjid so that people would eat it when they break their fast. And the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever contributes in breaking the fast of a person who's fasting, he will get the same reward as he has got. So mashallah, a man fasts for 17 hours and then you give him what breaks his fast, Allah would reward you as if you have fasted 17 hours. So this is one of the good deeds. You can pick up your contact list and call all of your next of kin. your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your brothers, your nephews, your nieces. Call them and check on them. Connect to the next of kin. This is one of the greatest deeds that you can offer. Go online and try to you can do a lot, and the sky is the limit. We have Fuad from the Emirates. Mute your TV. Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I have two questions actually. One is that what should be the length of your trouser? Is it always should be above the ankle or only during prayers?
Okay.
That's the one question. The second question is, are we allowed to, or is it permissible to trade in the company shares on the stock exchange? These are my two questions.
Okay. Kamil from Saudi Arabia. Kamil from Saudi Arabia. Kamil. Okay. This is the second time Kamil we lose Kamil. Brother Fuad from the Emirates was asking about the length of the trousers or of the garment, generally speaking. And is this only specially for prayer, or is it 24/7? Well, it is not only for prayer. It is 24/7. You always have to keep your garment, your thobe, your trousers, your wizra above the ankles. Now, a lot of the Muslims have neglected this, and they are dragging their trousers under their ankles. This is forbidden. The Prophet tells us, ﷺ, whatever exceeds or goes below the ankle is in hell. So if this is your ankle and this much goes down, this is punishable in fire. This is providing that you don't have any arrogance in you and you don't boast about it. But if you have arrogance added to that, then there are 4 punishments that the Prophet ﷺ told us, that Allah Azza wa Jal would not look at you, would not speak to you, and would not purify your soul, and would have a grave and serious and painful punishment for you. Now, the sunnah, and a lot of the Muslims don't know this, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is to wear your garment to the middle of the leg. And in an authentic hadith, the Prophet ﷺ saw a man dragging his garments, and he told him, uplift your garment. And the man said, "O Prophet of Allah, this is an old garment, it's torn, it's dirty." And the Prophet told him, "Don't you have a role model in me? Am I not your example?" And the man says, the companion says, "I looked at the Prophet ﷺ's garment, and it was to the middle of his leg." And the hadith of Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Prophet told him ﷺ, the dress of a man, the garment of a man should be here. And the Prophet hit 4 fingers under the knee. And then he said, if you don't like this, then you may add to this. And he added another 4. So 8 fingers under your knee. This is the garment of a believer man. Now it's the opposite. Women are wearing this 4 fingers under the knee, and they call it maxi. And the men are dragging their thobes and their garments and their mishlah as if they are in a wedding, as if they're a bride. All what they need is a couple of children holding the garments, behind them maybe some background music. Music is haram. So this is the issue and the dilemma, that everybody looks around and said, I'm not the only one dragging my trousers, so it's okay. That, well, it's not okay. You have to keep it I'm not asking you to have it to the middle of your leg. This is a sunnah. Nowadays, if you practice it, maybe they will put you in the lunatics wards. They will consider you to be mentally disabled or something. Unfortunately, and this is a shame. This is a sunnah, and we are unable to practice it because people don't like it. The minimum you have is that the bones of your ankle, just have it on top of it, and that is it. It's very normal, especially if you're wearing shoes and socks on that. And then Fuad asks about the ruling on buying shares displayed on the stock market. Is this permissible or not? It depends on the company you're buying the shares of. So if you're buying the shares of banks, this is haram. It's interest-based. If you're buying shares in a company that sells tobacco or alcohol or entertainment, it's haram. If you buy shares of a company that is 70% or 50% financed by riba, also this is haram. But if you buy shares of a company that is halal and is not financing with riba, this is halal as well. I'm afraid that this is all the time we have. Until we meet you next Friday, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.